Hey everybody, it's Timothy here. So obviously you can see on the screen here that we've got a couple cards that were unintentionally leaked from Hour of Devastation, and I mentioned this very recently with my video about the Commander leaks from 2017 Commander set. That I'm not a big fan of leaks. I think it takes a lot of the surprise element out of a set. It takes a lot of the kind of excitement out of spoiler season, especially when your leaks are your big cards for the set. But they are here, and I'm not going to ignore them. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the cards that were leaked. From what I hear, they were accidentally put on official Magic website, French website or something like that, and immediately taken down. But obviously someone got a quick pick of them. So I don't know. You can speculate all you want about whether or not you think they're real, but they're looking pretty real, and I don't know, the design on them looks pretty real. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and jump into these three spoilers for the day, and I don't know, hopefully somebody at Wizards is not going to lose their job or be yelled at too much, but it seems like a pretty big oversight to accidentally put your hallmark card of the set online unintentionally. But anyway, first card here is Bontu's Last Reckoning. 1 in double black for a rare sorcery. Destroy all creatures. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. So a 3-mana Wrath, which is pretty crazy. Obviously, that's a huge downside. Means you're probably not playing anything. But I don't know, if you consider when you have to cast this during a game, honestly, you don't really have to Wrath the board on turn 3, right? So there are a lot of times where you can Wrath the board and then still have mana up to do something else during the next turn. And notice it doesn't matter what lands you have tapped or anything like that. You're just straight up not getting an untap step for your lands during the next turn. So I don't know, you can keep mana up for the following turn, or you can use it all up that turn. But you're never going to cast this on turn 3 and then just skip your 4th turn or anything like that. This is a later game play. Even Damnations and Wrath of Gods, the 4-mana Wraths, they don't get played on turn 4, right? There's no need to unless you're just straight up losing the game that hard. But there's a lot of cool things about this card. First off, is Bontu dying or something? I don't know. Obviously, Hour of Devastation is all about Bolas coming back, and I'm not super keen on the story here, so maybe somebody could fill me in. But I don't know. This looks like Bontu's just having his swan song, right? He's going out with a bang or something like that. Also, look at all these people. They're just attacking him, or I don't know, maybe they're following him. I can't tell what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. And then even the flavor text says, to the last, Bontu wanted only to be the first among the God Pharaoh's subjects, right? So Hour of Devastation, all about Bolas coming back to the plane of Amonkhet, and I don't know, stuff happens, I guess. So anyway, I did want to point out that this card, a lot of people are saying in the comments on different sites, this card is super, super powerful or it's super, super bad, right? I do want to point out one card here that is not what I wanted to go to, but Savor the Moment is the card that this reminds me of. It's very similar. So Savor the Moment was 1 in double blue. You take an extra turn and then you skip your untap step. Notice it doesn't say your lands don't untap. It's just you're skipping your untap step. But this is very similar. The design of these two cards is very almost identical, right? You're paying 1 in a double color for this really strong effect that you normally wouldn't get for 3 mana. But there's the downside of you're almost setting yourself back a turn afterwards. So you've got to make it count. I think Savor the Moment's just kind of clutch card. I don't see it come up very often. I think I've seen one Modern deck play it, and I don't remember why. But Bontu's Last Reckoning seems like a really good card, in my opinion. In Limited, I'm taking it every time. 3-mana board wipe, sure, skip my turn. But if I need to board wipe, I need to do it. And a lot of opponents can't rebuild that fast that you would be willing to skip your turn. Not to mention, as I already said, it's 3 mana, and you're not casting it on turn 3. You easily cast this on turn 6 or something like that. And then you still have mana, plus your land drop on the following turn to go ahead and do what you need to do. Not to mention that it also doesn't stop your creatures from untapping, so maybe, I don't know, you board wipe with an indestructible creature on board, Bontu, I don't know, and you're way ahead. So I like this card. It's cool. It raises a lot of questions about what's happening on Amonkhet, for me at least, because I don't read the story very religiously. But yeah, I think the card's sweet. And then we're going to look at these two Planeswalkers, because why not? Samut the Tested. Samut, apparently her spark ignited or something, and now she's a Planeswalker, which a lot of people guessed. She did retain her red-green color identity, but lost her Naya. She's no longer white, and you're going to see a lot of like Arlen Cordness here. Gruul Planeswalkers are usually really interesting in that they encourage you to just be jamming damage in there, and they're very hit or miss. Arlen Cord has not really seen her day in Standard, or at least, you know, she pops up every now and then, but she's not like a hallmark Planeswalker that people are going to remember from Standard, especially with her rotating soon. And then there was like Xenagos and Domri Raid, which were both very good. But let's look at Samut. She's 2 red and green, somehow got cheaper now that she's a Planeswalker. The loyalty is 4, so 4 mana, 4 loyalty Planeswalker is pretty decent. The +1 here says up to 1 target creature gains double strike until end of turn. I already like that as a follow-up to like a 3-drop. Being able to drop this, give your 3-drop double strike, and put a lot of pressure on your opponent's pretty nice. I am kind of focused on limited when I say these sorts of things, but I don't know, if red-green has really strong creatures in Standard, then, you know, this is something to look at. Not to mention, like, you could drop Heart of Kiran and then play Samut and use a counter from Samut to crew Heart of Kiran and then give it double strike and smash your opponent for 8, which is pretty crazy, right? I don't know, just something to keep in mind. Being able to give a creature double strike while also ticking up seems pretty sweet, even though, you know, she's not really protecting herself that way. The -2 is the protection ability. It says Samut the Tested deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 target creatures and or players, so kind of a twin bolt effect basically. -2 is reasonable for this. She can pick off 2 mana or 2 toughness creatures. She can do a little bit of direct burn damage to your opponent. She can pick off tokens. I don't see that being super relevant in the Standard we have right now, but again, a lot of the creatures that we have in that Standard are probably rotating. I'm thinking cards like Grimflayer and stuff like that, but I guess if you're playing against like vehicle decks that want to play I don't know, what's it called? The Inventor, the 1 mana, I don't know his name. But anyway, Toolcraft Exemplar, that's what it's called. Like all these 1 toughness creatures, then yeah, Samut seems sweet. But I don't know, a lot of decks are kind of geared towards just cheating out Ullamogs and stuff like that. And keep in mind, when Hour of Devastation comes in, that's not when rotation happens. It's not until the next set starts that rotation happens. So we will be able to play this card alongside everything. And if Aetherworks Marvel doesn't get banned, then, you know, a lot of these cards have very diminishing value because they just can't compete with cards like Turn 4 Ulamog and stuff like that. So Samut, oh yeah, we should probably read the ultimate, right? -7. Search your library for up to 2 creatures and or Planeswalker cards, put them onto the battlefield, and shuffle your library. So very strong here, kind of like a tooth and nail type effect, or you know, just like tutoring up Planeswalkers and putting it on the battlefield seems pretty sweet. And some people are like, well, that's crazy with Double in Season, but I mean, Double in Season's a dumb card and shouldn't exist the way it does. But I don't know, this seems awesome. I know a lot of Atraxa players are going to be like, oh, I can't play this in Atraxa, and I'm sorry, you can't play everything you want in Atraxa, but I like it just as an option to like randomly go find, you know, the biggest creatures in Standard and slam them on the battlefield. Granted, she doesn't get there very easily. If you're +1 in to give a creature double strike until end of turn, odds are you're not protecting Samut very well, and you're probably jamming your creatures in. So I don't know. I wish the +1 gave Vigilance or something like that, so it could combo with Exert creatures or something along those lines. But I don't know. She's a very pushed commander, or not commander, but Planeswalker when it comes to wanting to attack, and that's exactly what the red-green Planeswalkers usually do. And the -7 is sweet. I like it. It's unique for a Planeswalker. I don't know that there's been a Planeswalker that tutors creatures. Well, Nahiri did, but I don't know, the fact that this can just jam 2 creatures on the battlefield from your deck is sweet, and has like instant commander play. But nice to see Samut back. She's got kind of a scrunched face. She's really upset about something. I don't know, I should read the story. I hear it's pretty good. But then the card that everybody wanted to, this is why leaks suck. Like, this is the card that everyone's looking forward to from the set, right? When you talk about Hour of Devastation, everybody keeps saying, I want an awesome Bolus, or I hope Bolus is good, right? And then boom, your Bolus is just accidentally leaked online, and it's like, well, there goes the mystery of it. But anyway, we are going to look at the card. Another 4 ability Planeswalker, which I think a lot of people were expecting, just because you want your Bolus to be big and flashy. It's 7 mana total, 4 in Grixis colors, blue, black, red. So 7 total for a 7 loyalty Bolas Planeswalker, obviously. 4 abilities here. So the first one says +2, target opponent exiles cards from the top of his or her library until they exile a non-land card. Until the end of the turn, you can cast that card without paying its mana cost. So this is card advantage in some form. It does depend on what deck you're playing against. Like if you're playing against, I don't know, New Perspectives or something, you're probably not going to hit something you really want to cast. But it does tick up very nice. Like this goes up to 9 immediately the turn it comes down, which is very difficult to deal with. Leads me to believe that if this is a big player, you know, you're going to see cards like Never to Return just, you know, spike up because of their ability to deal with this Planeswalker that you're just never killing through attacking, right? The +1 ability says each opponent exiles 2 cards from his or her hand, which is stupid, and I hate the fact that that's a +1 ability because it just eats your hand. It means as long your opponent has to like constantly top deck answers for Nicol Bolas. By the time you play this, you're going to be able to eat their hand if you want to. And it's exiling too. Notice that everything here exiles, which is kind of weird. But it just eats your opponent's hand, and if they ever try to keep cards in their hands, Nicol Bolas just eats more cards from their hand, which means if you stick this against control, you just win the game because you get to destroy their hand. And there's very little they can do about it. Like once they're in top deck mode and you resolve Nicol Bolas and it's not under pressure, they have to constantly be top decking some sort of answer, because if you don't, you just have this +1 ability to take away any options they have, which is pretty crazy. The -4 ability is very similar to a lot of red Planeswalkers. We see Nicol Bolas deal 7 damage to target opponent or creature an opponent controls. So oftentimes you'll play a Planeswalker like this and you'll use that minus ability to kill off a threat that's threatening to hit Nicol Bolas and take it off the table, and then you start plussing from there. The fact that this can come down and also deal 7 to an opponent is very relevant. It makes it kind of like a fireball, very similar to Nissa, which, you know, for 8 mana can come down and deal 10 damage, which is obviously more potent than the 7 here, but not as flexible. A lot of times I think you'll play this, you'll -4, kill the biggest creature your opponent has. 7 damage is just going to kill everything, right? Except Ulamog. But anyway. And then you have a -12 ability. Exile each non-land permanent your opponent controls. So just one-sided board wipe. It's opponent's control. So in Commander, you know, you get everybody's stuff. Just Psych Rift to the max. Exile everything that's not yours. Which is good, right? That's not like super flashy. None of these abilities are as flashy as like the original Nicol Bolas Planeswalker, which was just the like super cruel ultimatum on an opponent. But I don't know. There's a lot of flexibility in this card. It is strong. It is worth mentioning that we still have that card, Dark Intimations, which I believe we're actually going to look that up just to be sure. Dark Intimations, I believe, says if you have one in the graveyard when Nicol Bolas enters the battlefield, you can exile it to have a the Bolas come in with additional loyalty counter. So it says when you cast a Bolas Planeswalker spell, exile Dark Intimations from your graveyard, that Planeswalker enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on it. Okay, so like assuming you can get 4 of them in your graveyard, that's like, I don't know, pretty ambitious thinking there. Like Nicol Bolas comes out with 11 loyalty, which is really weird. I think a lot of people were speculating that Bolas would come out, have just enough loyalty that you could ultimate it right away if you had 4 Dark Intimations in your graveyards, which isn't the case here. You still have to +2 at least once, but I don't know. This reminds me of Karn, just not as flexible in that it's not colorless. It gets rid of permanents on your opponent's side of the field. Obviously, the -4 is not as good as Karn's exile ability, but the +1 is very similar too, like just eating cards from your opponent's hand. And the fact that this gets rid of 2 cards from each opponent is really stupid, and it makes it very hard to answer once this gets going. If you can back this up with any sort of pressure or any sort of defense, counter spells, whatever, this can just take away your opponent's best resources every turn. If they don't have creatures to kill, you just +1 and take their hand. If you need extra stuff on the battlefield, you +2 and start casting random cards. Hopefully you're playing against, you know, an opponent who has cards you want to be casting. But this seems really strong, in my opinion. Again, Grixis isn't like a thing in Standard very much, so this is the type of card that gets people to build decks around it. And I think Dark Intimations also has some playability in Standard, so maybe we'll see a little bit more of that. But anyway, that takes care of big old Nicol Bolas. You can go ahead and stop your theories and whining and so on and so forth about what it's going to do and what it's going to be like. You know, everybody always has their wild theories about the cards, but I did want to share this with you guys. Again, I'm not a huge fan of leaks. It does take a little bit of excitement, especially when the cards aren't like pristine and anything like that, like looks like they've been photographed. These ones were leaked online, so I think someone just screenshotted them or something like that, but they are still cool. It is get us a kind of our juices flowing a little bit early, and we still have about a month and I want to say like a week until pre-releases for this set, so can't really say too much about it. But I think if this was an intentional leak, putting that in air quotes, then you know, they did a good job of getting people excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing what other people have to say about it. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the first look at Hour of Devastation, and as always, my name's Timothy, and I'll see y'all next time.